Hi everyone, welcome back to the Tailored Metaphor, where I use my imagination to help explain your psychology. My name is Taylor Wilkins, I'm the founder of the Tailored Quill, and today we're going to talk about finding your voice, which, whether you're in business or not, is an incredibly important process for your confidence and for your happiness in life. Because we all get to a point where we want to know that what we say and what we share and how we express ourselves has value. And this is particularly important right now because this week here in the United States is the presidential election. And so there's been so much news and really encouraging messaging in social media and in the world about voting. And there's so much about how your vote is your voice. And so a lot of people are voting and considering how their voice is valuable right now, but also how their voice is impacting their society and our government and whatever outcome comes from this election. And so even though right now it's such a public thing, this idea of sharing your voice and voting for the sake of your voice, finding your voice is such a remarkably and painfully personal process that can be so difficult and take a really long time. So I want to focus on that, even though it's contributing to the public sphere in a big way this week. So the metaphor that I like to use for finding your voice is watering plants, as simple as that is. So if you have a garden, you'll completely understand this, but if you've ever watered a plant before, it requires several things, which we're going to talk about. But before we go over those three pieces, you have to understand that finding your voice is different for everybody. What it sounds like, what situation it is when it suddenly comes through, what are the factors involved with it. It's totally different for everyone. However, the one thing that is always the same in finding your voice is that there is pressure involved, some kind of pressure. And that's what creates the pain and the discomfort and the arduousness of finding your voice and being confident in your voice. And that pressure can be multiple things. For instance, if you are in the business world, it might be pressure to find your voice really quickly, to express yourself and through social media or through a blog or a podcast or whatever it may be, and suddenly try to oh gosh, I gotta rush, I gotta find my voice now. Or if you're not in business, or maybe in your relationships or in your job or what have you, it could be pressure that you might feel to actually not find your voice. You might not be feeling so confident in your ability to express yourself. So you might feel pressure to actually not say anything because it's scary and you're not confident in it. You don't know how to advocate for yourself. And so the pressure can go both ways, but it's very painful. It's very challenging. And so going to our plant watering metaphor and the three things that need to be in place for you to find your voice, number one is patience. Patience is so critical because it takes a long time to find your voice. You have to be patient with yourself and patient with the process because it's not going to happen overnight. For me, it took me 26 years to hear my true authentic voice and to find my voice for the first time. 26 years. And I had already been in business for a while. And so you have to know that growth of your voice, just like growth of a plant, takes time. And you have to be patient with yourself in order to find your true voice. You can't force it. It has to be practiced. It has to be iterated. Which leads me to the next one, which is awareness. Now, I don't mean awareness just in general, like kind of self-awareness, but if you're watering a plant, you need to be aware of its condition. You need to be aware of okay, how much does it need to be watered? How much attention does it need? How is it responding, etc. And so for the sake of finding your voice, this is just awareness of situations where you wish that you could find your voice, that you wish that you had your voice. And these situations may not feel good. I'm going to warn you ahead of time. These might be situations where you're kicking yourself afterwards because you wish that you had said something. But it's building awareness of that's when I wish I had my voice. And if you just continue to collect those and you continue to build up that awareness of it's in these situations at work that I want to speak up. Or it's in times of national elections where I really want to share things on social media. You start to build awareness around that situation. You're like, okay, you start to imagine yourself speaking up and sharing your voice in those situations. And so it's slowly building confidence. But again, going back to the first piece, you have to be patient. Even as you're building that awareness, you have to be patient, which leads us to the third thing, compassion. Like I said, as you're building that awareness, they might be in situations where it's like, God, oh, why didn't I just say something? I've had so many of those situations where it's like, God, I feel so stupid. I know what I wanted to say. Why didn't I just say it? And so you have to be compassionate. And like watering a flower, you have to be compassionate toward that plant's growth. And that you're in charge of watering it, but you have to be compassionate and patient and aware of what that plant needs. And so as you're recognizing, okay, these are the situations that I want to speak up in, that I want to hear my voice in, or you start to realize like, ooh, this is where my voice is building to. You have to be compassionate to yourself about the process. You have to remind yourself that it is a process and you need to be patient, but it's the reminder that it just takes time and that that's okay. It comes at different points for everybody. And so you have to let your voice build over time and the confidence behind it build and the message you want to share. You have to let that build, just like letting a plant grow in the slow and beautiful time that it needs to take. Okay? So these days, whether you're involved with an election or not, but you're definitely involved with the pandemic because everybody is affected in some way, think about this for you. Think about what the process has been like for you to find your voice, what patience you have needed, or which of these three, patience, awareness, or compassion, do you feel like you're lacking in? Which one's harder for you to implement? And try your best to actually figure out, okay, well, where do I want to share my voice? Where don't I feel confident expressing myself? And then which of these three need to be buttoned up a little bit? But remember, it takes time. Even if you realize it today of like what you need to do, you still have to be patient. You still have to be aware. You still have to be compassionate. So try that out. I wish you the best of luck with that. In the meantime, guys, go ahead and subscribe to my channel below for more videos like this every single week. And in the meantime, I'll talk to you all later.